Last week, Claire said something that I want to go back on her statement and expand on it. She was explaining her painting that she did. And she mentioned that I just didn't want to leave the seventh mountain. You heard that. And this is the type of creativity we're going to be looking for. She was on the seventh mountain. She was not a painter painting. She was expressing her emotion on the seventh mountain. And this is really what art is all about. Expressing your emotion. And when you have the ability to put rhythm in it, which is developing your talent, which is developing your technique, then you have created a work of art, which includes rhythm, emotion, and expression. If a work of art has these three, it's a work of art. If it's missing one or two, but it's intentional by the artist, then it's still work of art because it was intentional. But if it's out of neglecting or not paying attention to, then it's not a work of art. That's one. And then Kavita has blown my mind with the painting that she did last week. And I just gave all of you a little technical way of developing the work. And she took that painting and has turned it into a masterpiece. Beautifully done, beautifully done. She did not follow what I told you to do, which I admire, because this is what an artist should do, not follow the instruction. Have the instruction as inspiration. And once the instruction becomes inspiration, here is something very valuable that I want to share with you. If you are inspired, don't look for more inspiration. I noticed Giti was looking at some paintings, and she told me that, oh, I love this painting. This is beautiful, and this inspires me and all that. Then a minute later, I saw her on another painting. And I said, well, see, once inspiration continues, it builds into an expression. But if inspiration follows by another inspiration, you lose the first one, and then the next one, you lose that, and then you have a jumble of all of these inspirations, which gets you confused, develop headache, you get frustrated, you give up. When you're inspired, continue the inspiration. Don't look for more inspiration. Continue this. I don't know what it is. Even if it's a leaf that inspires you, stay with it. Continue with that. Picasso used to get up early in the morning before the sunrise, go by the sea, sit down in there and watch the sunrise. And after that, he would walk back to his studio, which was about somehow like about 3 blocks from the sea. And on the way, as he was going back, whatever inspired him, let it be, fish bones or a can, empty can, or piece of newspaper, or whatever that was that just attracted him. In the moment, he would grab that and he would go to his studio house, have breakfast, go to bed, and in the evening, early, evening, he would begin to reflect that inspiration that he had. sometimes he would do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paintings within several hours. He has created 16,000 paintings and drawings, sketches, aside from his sculptures and potteries and all that he did. Every time that he got inspired, he created. He did not let inspiration die. He would not want to talk to people. Even when there was nothing that would inspire him, he would, as he was walking, he would go and stop by the newspaper and go there while he was having his breakfast. He would look at the newspaper, not to read the news, to see what inspires him in the newspaper. Sometimes it was a picture, sometimes it was a statement that he would cut it off and stick it on the canvas and paint around it. But this is really a great, great lesson to all of us to know inspiration should be for only a moment. Only a moment. If it goes beyond the moment, it becomes memory, because you compare it with the previous move. So inspiration should be a moment, and that should lead into an expression. Take the moment you get inspired, take it in, have your emotion with it, feel it, and then express it. You don't need to know how to paint. You don't need to know how to sing. You don't need to know how to dance. None of these that we go after is about learning. It's just a waste of time. It's a waste of time. It just makes us a normal human being like everybody else. But if you want to be doing something unusual, you want to be an artist, follow the steps of other artists. Learn from them. Learn from them. Don't try to copy their style. Don't try to copy their works. Don't try to copy anything. Just get inspired. When you go to the museum, don't just walk in there like everybody else and watch these paintings. Not going to give you anything except that you're a good tourist. Go in there, walk, look around. Any painting that attracts you, go and spend time right in front of that painting, as long as it takes. Sometimes it takes me over an hour. I'm sitting in there or standing in there, just staring at the painting where I don't see the painting anymore. When you don't see the tree is when you should paint the tree, not when you see it. Because when you see the tree and you're painting it, you're imitating it, you're copying it. I don't care what you do, you're still imitating the tree. But when you stare at the tree so much, so long, that you don't see the tree anymore, it's all inspiration within you, then the expression becomes a work of art. And as you do that, you find out a rhythm. Kavita is interesting what she did. She started working, the bird's head was two-dimensional, so the discussion was to mix the color that you have with the color that is next to it. So you have a mixture of these two colors, and you put it as a border or a bridge between the two. That way, you make them three-dimensional. They would not be flat, two-dimensional. So that becomes three-dimensional. She began to do that, and she started to having fun doing it. And she went, I'm just telling you exactly the process. I haven't even talked to her. I see that she's smiling. She just went through and started playing. And it was so much fun for her that a fun painting came out of it. While the previous one was just a painting that she did based on the assignment or whatever it was. But suddenly this thing came in there. You're going to see it today in the video. It's amazing what she's done because you can see the playfulness that has gone into it. So these, I wanted to share these two with you. These are both very important, very important. Make what you learn, make that into a play. Make it into a play. What you learn, make it into a play, not making it into a job. That's why I say, lucky are the ones who don't have to work. Because if it's a job, you have to work. But if it's a play, you're going to have fun. So make it, turn it into play. Learn something, whatever you learn. Don't try to imitate what you learn. Turn it into a play. Be creative. Be creative. And in that creativity, you're going to do things that's amazing. I was doing a room when I was practicing architecture, that it was like a living room of this house in Pasadena. It was this living room that I made it like a Flintstone family place. So the whole thing looked like it was made before buildings, before anything. It was like Flintstone. Oh, you're familiar with that. The whole idea was that. And then this came connected with the rest of the space that was modern and, you know, nice stucco, all of that. And wow, that was a big change. And I love these type of things when it becomes a great challenge, because you know that when there's a challenge, you can be very creative. So what I did, I thought, well, how the hell can I make this transition from this thing into that? So I created cracks on several cracks on the stucco, and inside the cracks, they were just chopped pieces. I should find a picture and show it to you. Chopped pieces in there, and it was the extension of the Flintstone thing in there, inside the cracks. And on one of the 3 cracks, there was a bird with a safety pin that was trying to put these cracks together. That became the focal point of the whole thing. One time I did a house, beautiful house on the beach in Pacific Palisades for a rich person. But just looking out of the living room, there was this post that had the wires. Was there, you know, I guess electrical feeder or whatever it was. And we went after getting rid of that, trying to figure out how we can get rid of it. And we found out that it's going to cost about a couple of $1 million to make it go underground. So they had no choice. They had to look out of the living room and see this big post in there with the wires blocking, not blocking, but being in front of the ocean view. And my son at the time was in Santa Barbara going to school. I had gone in there to see him. As I was driving, I saw in the window of a toy store, I saw this big giant gorilla. And I stopped by and I bought the gorilla. And I went back and I had them take the gorilla on top of the pole with a small plane in the gorilla's hand and just sitting right on top of the pole. And we had light shooting on him as King Kong with a plane that is grabbing in there. That was a sculpture that became, that everybody who took pictures of the thing in the newspapers and all that, they were all reflecting this special part. This is where inspiration leads you to. See something, and then come up with something that really is outside the norm, become ridiculous. And you've heard me saying that. If it's not ridiculous, what? There's no hope for it. Remember that. If it's not ridiculous, there is no hope for it, because that means it's normal. And normal is not going to make it. It's just going to be another number among the other numbers. But make it ridiculous. Make your things ridiculous. Be ridiculous. Do ridiculous. And you'll come up with some amazing ideas and concepts. This week's chapter was on the power of inspiration. Anybody wants to share what you got out of it? Yes, go ahead, please.
I feel like, the whole chapter was amazing, but one of the parts that I personally related to the most was you talking about and flipping through your artwork and seeing when a gallery or whoever you were working with had influenced the process, and how you weren't as happy with it because it was coming from a different place of like instruction versus like your own pure like inspiration and heart. And I definitely have been in that spot too. So that like really stood out for me, like how powerful it is when we create from one space versus when we allow others to influence us because they want specific colors, because that's what better sells for their clients' homes or whatever. I just found that very, very powerful personally.
Thank you. Claire, you wanted to share?
Yeah, I agree with you, Jen. It's, I still remember one of the first watercolor rules was don't leave any white space. And it would just pop into my head and I'll go, no, time to do something else then. But yeah, in terms of the chapter and your opening this morning, the difference between inspiration and revelation.
Motivation.
In the book, you say revelation.
Yeah, I say motivation, I think.
Well, yeah, well, you do talk about, there's a section on inspiration and motivation, but then there's also a segment on revelation, a little segment on page 51. It says, sometimes the most skilled of artists is unable to be inspired. Inspiration differs from revelation, which is a conscious process where the one creating is aware and interacting with vision. Inspiration can be felt without complete understanding.
Yeah, actually, we spoke about it.
Well,
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
But I guess that's where I'm at. The inspiration is a moment. Can I carry that moment in my heart to the canvas?
Exactly. This is what the Impressionists did. This is one of their major things. See, they did not copy what they saw. impressionists, as you know, that they were seeing the nature and painting from that. That's why the canvases are small, because they went outside and started painting in the nature. And for the impressionists, that's what it was. They would just walk around, look around, see things, touch things, smell things, taste things that are going to be in their painting. And then they would come and sit down, feel the nature around them, and they would paint. But they would not paint like most people do. They were not copying something. They were not looking at their canvas and looking at their subject. They expressed what they felt in that space. And that is what you want to do. When you want to do somebody's portrait, is not to sit down and keep on looking at them and paint it on the canvas. Yes, have them sit there, but don't freeze them because you want to do it this way. Just have them sit down and paint in their energy. Paint in their emotion. And when you paint in their energy and emotion, it might turn out to be just a black canvas. But when somebody looks at this, says, oh, this is Jane, this is, and doesn't look like anybody, but you can feel that emotion. See, emotion is something that we haven't found out what it is yet. But at some point, humanity is going to find out. It's just like the dark energy. The scientists say there's a dark energy, dark matter, and they have no idea what it is, just dark, okay? Energy is a dark thing by itself, that we don't really know what that energy is. Because sometimes when you're with somebody, you can really feel them. When they're mad, you can feel them. When they're in love, you can feel them. You can recognize lovers from far away distance, looking at their back. It's that emotion that really makes these connections. Yes. Anybody else wants to share the chapter on inspiration?
I will. I was particularly inspired by in the very beginning, where it talks about how in the ancient languages, they talk about inspiration being breathed upon by God. And when it goes on to describe how the Sufis work with it, and others just sit in silence and you know, feel and allow this to come, it made me think of how in the meditation traditions that I study, we talk about Shakti. And Shakti is the feminine creative impulse. And it's found essentially in the void. You know, it emanates from the void. And I just found that very fascinating, that to really explore the void with no expectation, no thought, just allowing it to arise, and then to be able to express it.
Beautiful, thank you. Kitty, go ahead.
Very interesting from what you said, because it's pretty much what I wanted to say, Marianne. So interesting, Henri. But what I wanted to say is, I don't like to call that a prerequisite to inspiration, but I think you have to make yourself available to be inspired. And that goes with what Marianne was saying. Rasuli, you talked about being ridiculous. I think that's the requirement. Being ridiculous, meaning being, let go. Allow things to be as they are. Allowance is always. Just let everything be what is. And then you let anything that can happen to you happen. Don't expect a certain thing. Don't be after any sort of an inspiration and opening this gate of light, all of these miraculous things. None of that. Just be there, available to receive what it is that comes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I just add that, that portion of just, being available is part of just being able to get quiet from all of the cacophony of the outside world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to hear more discussion on that issue, because as you discuss it, you get more connection with it. It's not about memory, it's about experiencing it. So if there's more that you want to discuss, just keep your lines open and keep talking each other and really discuss it.
I think, I think that's the topic of ridiculousness. When you were saying that first, when I first heard it, I just thought like, oh, silly, to be silly, but then the more I'm hearing right now is that ridiculousness impulses you out of the loop of memory, out of the loop of the known thinking. So otherwise it's always falling back into those loops that it's like, wait, I already know this, I'm putting out the same thing. And it's kind of like, if you're ridiculous, you're like you have a bigger permission slip. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
In the the last in-person retreat I had, which was over a year ago, they were supposed to do something ridiculous at one of these nights. And the winner of being the most ridiculous was getting one of my signed giclées in there. And it was fun to watch this group. You can remember that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. They were competing in being ridiculous. So you can imagine. Really.
Who won?
Who won? Tell her who won.
No, you say it.
There was this lady.
Hard. I have to say the choice was very hard. There were many.
Yeah. There was this lady who was, I think she was maybe in her 70s, maybe, somewhere up there.
Not that high, but I'm up.
But she took her dress off and put her breasts out and started dancing. But there were more ridiculous stuff too. But everybody voted for that one, so she became the most ridiculous.
I thought she also had painted something on her chest.
Yeah, there was, it was more than that. But anyway, yeah, ridiculousness is totally against rationality, because rationality doesn't like ridiculousness. Everything has to have a system to it. That's where rationality becomes the enemy when you're painting, when you're creating, because it's going to keep on telling you, oh no, you're going to do it that way. Oh no, you're supposed to do it that way. No, this looks like that. You're going to do it like this. This whole thing is rational thinking and throws the whole thing away. So, yeah, go ahead.
The whole discussion just reminds me of the Fool card in the Tarot, who really doesn't care what anybody else thinks or says, and looks foolish because they've seen the divine. And once you've seen the divine, it's hard to forget. and a sense of play and adventure and something new. It's just what it reminds me of.
Yeah. And when you study the greats biography, all of these great masters, you can find out that the more ridiculous they were, the greater they became. And everybody is about being ridiculous. Michelangelo did the Sistine Chapel for something like 7 cents a day for his work, and created Sistine Chapel. And when he came back to do the wall in there, they didn't even pay him for it. Beethoven, when you look at them, every one of them, you know, Vivaldi, they've done these most ridiculous, and unfortunately, we judge them by their human behavior and forget that these are giants. They look like normal people, but there's something special about them. When you want to judge them, use that power to judge, not to judge them as a human being. Yes, Nasrin?
What I'm understanding with allowing yourself to be ridiculous is not to care what people think and just kind of do what you want to do, or whatever you feel would be courageous to do despite any judgment.
Beautiful. Yes, yes. Somebody came to visit me, and when he was leaving, he said, "Take care." And I said, "It has taken me a lifetime to get to a point of not taking care. Now you're telling me you take care." Take care of what? Pay attention to everything. I'm not crossing the street that I should take care. I'm living, and I don't need to take care for living. I need to take care when it has to do with my physical body. But the one who's inside there doesn't have to take care. Has to break all these rules and get out and play and enjoy it.
So that was my question for the group. So what do you feel propels you to be more ridiculous? Courage, inspiration, freedom?
Kindred spirits.
Kindred
to
spirits?
Play with.
Play?
My grandchildren.
Children.
Yeah, the word freedom that you just said, I think I tell you the meaning of that in here for me. What Nassim said is on the individual basis, at a larger scale, like Michelangelo, why would you think he would do what he did, that massive amount of work for 7 cents a day? I don't even think it mattered what it was. It was the fact that he was allowed the freedom to do what he wanted. You know, that is such a gift for an artist. Allows you to be ridiculous if you want to. You know, he wanted to be something totally different, ridiculous, and he was given the choice. I think that is, it's not compared to any amount of money you can get that choice for an artist. So, yeah.
Dolly was invited to the Queen's birthday. And you know, when you get invited to the Queen's birthday, you all get dressed in tuxedos and ties and everything. And Dolly got 12 sheep lambs and got a lambskin and covered himself with the lambskin and the sheep. And Dolly was going on hand and feet, and the whole thing just like that came into the Queen's birthday. That is not ridiculous, so don't tell me.
That is true confidence right there.
Exactly. much finished with the saga flight. And I don't know about you, but the videos that I've shown to anybody around me who had been here in my studio, I've noticed that they get fascinated. And that has nothing to do with their interest in art or not art or anything. They keep on wanting the next one and the next one and the next one. And I love it because these are short chapters and we can just follow it like that and just one after another come through. So I want to know your opinion about this approach, because there are so many ideas that is boiling out that one of these days the ceiling is going to be, blown away. And I want to really get some of your ideas about the experience that you had and how it felt and how you feel about it. We start with Claire. Go ahead, please.
I love it. I love it. I love it on so many levels. I love the structure. I love the group effort. I love the editing with the video. I love having your voice without any image when I go to paint. Just telling me a story. I love it.
Cheryl?
I'm with Claire. I love it. I love watching it. And I can even see it as a Netflix episodic kind of thing. I think people would be interested in that.
Jen?
I mean, I think for me, I agree. I love it. I think one of the coolest things is we all have, we're all essentially doing the same assignment, right? Like we're all listening to the same piece of music and words and pieces of story, but we're all interpreting it differently. We're using all different mediums. We're not all using the same medium. We're all taking different parts and segments, and yet you put them together and it's like they all meld together. Like it's so cool to see all of our work woven together like one big tapestry. We all did a piece of the tapestry, but like it works so beautifully together. And I think it's one of the coolest things.
Thank you.
I think we have like a group consciousness happening here, and we're all tied together in a oneness kind of experience.
Very interesting. And there is also a collective unconscious in here.
Mhm.
Because collectively, if we were together, doing it together, the energy would be collective energy. But because we're separated from each other, there is a collective unconscious that is happening that is putting this together so beautifully. It's like we were sitting together, collectively creating this. And so it feels like that to me as well. It's just, yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, yes.
Go ahead. Okay.
Debbie, unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There. This is my first time of working with you and meeting a lot of you, but the thing that's come out for me is, and when I share my works with other people, is I'm not being told this is what we're painting. And so it has been a lot of freedom for me to just explore what happens on the canvas. And I'm very grateful to, and one thing about me is I cry a lot, and don't worry about it. Anyway, and it's just been very beautiful to open that part of me. And I love that everybody is free to express their own perceptions of the story, and that they can all be brought together without judgment, without this is the better or the worst or the bet, you know, the good. It's just like, it just is. And it's all part of this whole journey. So I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity. It's been,
Thank you.
yeah.
We're grateful for you too. Okay. Go ahead, Kavita.
I would have to second what everyone's saying. I feel very blessed to be here. I feel like a child in a sweet shop, and I've got playmates at the sweet shop who've already been there for longer than I have, and I'm just completely fascinated with everything. You know, it's beyond any expectation I had, and I find that it's deep on so many levels. It's not just about painting, as you said. I was expecting to learn how to paint, and when you said to me, you said in the first session, I'm not going to teach you how to paint, and I said, okay, but I'm going to teach you how to create. And I thought, wow, now that's even better. And week by week, I've found my own struggles, and I found how I'm developing and learning, and it's just been beyond words, really, just the most beautiful experience.
Thank you. Any other sharing on the process? Yeah,
I
go ahead,
think,
Marianne.
oh, go ahead.
Marianne, and then Nassim. Yeah, go ahead, Marianne.
I just want to say I want to keep going. I want to keep doing this. And I know I haven't shared a lot of the videos because I kind of thought we were supposed to wait. I wasn't real clear on that, but I have people waiting for them. So I'm super excited to share.
On that sharing, let me tell you one thing is right now it's private just for you. And what you do is just you show it to other people just for your own, you know, on your friends, your relatives, whatever. But our plan is to release them on a certain day that you're all going to help to do that. What happens is when YouTube receives like 2,000 hits on the first day that something is posted, suddenly this jumps up. And from there on, within just a week or 2 weeks, goes into millions because it multiplies, you see? So that's what we're trying to do. Develop it fully, develop the thing fully. And one day, certain day that we talk about it, you are going to be a part of the whole thing to let your friend know that this day that is going to be available ahead of time on your emails, everything. We're going to help you to show little portions or something so you build up the interest. So the day that it would be available, we've got to have, you know, several thousand hits with all of us and friends. And once we do that, we're home free. One thing you got to pay attention, it's really interesting. Every time that somebody has seen these in here in my studio on my monitor, I ask him, who is your favorite? Who is a better artist to you when you look at it? And the answer blows my mind. This is what I've been looking for all my life.
No, I just came out to get
That they say,
the toast.
I couldn't figure out. They were all good. They were all part of the whole thing. So at this point, it becomes really very valuable. The only thing that I want you to pay attention to is how to photograph your work. Okay? Because I have a hard time trying to fit them in because they're not photographed properly. So from now on, I want you to photograph it properly.
There's a YouTube video for that.
Beautiful. That's fine. We can watch that one, but also my suggestion is to take the picture of your painting outdoors in the shade. Okay? If you took the picture in the light, it's going to show the texture of your canvas because it's three-dimensional, which is what some of you have done. You see more of a texture of your canvas than the painting because there's a lot of shadows and all of that. But when you do it outdoors in the shade, the only thing you have to watch out is you would not see reflections on the canvas. So move it around because sometimes reflection from the sun comes in the shadow and you can see the reflection. But move it around, turn it around, change your place to a point where you won't have any reflection on your canvas, reflection of the light on your canvas, and take the picture. You're going to have a perfect image. The works that we do, the giclées that my studio sells is all the images are taken directly with the camera in the shade. They haven't been scanned or some of those that they make these big issues out of it. If you take it in the shade properly, it's going to be perfect. So please do that. So it shows professionalism. Don't worry about the edges. If you're not familiar with Photoshop, we'll take care of the edges and all that for you. Or if it's tilted or one side is bigger and the other side is smaller, but make sure that the light is even on the whole thing. Claire?
Do you find any difference between taking the picture with the phone and a camera?
No. The phones these days are as good. Many of the, the people who make a movie with the phone, it's as good and it's perfect. So, and don't worry about which direction it is. Just take a picture. The only thing is to make sure that it's in focus and you don't have any, burned area, any part that is too bright versus the other parts. And definitely not under the light, because then you're going to have the texture of the canvas on that. Okay? So let's make sure about that. The approach of what we're doing has been my dream and has developed subconsciously. When I found out early how Hollywood came into being, I thought, wow, we could do the same thing. And Hollywood came into being when, at the time of, Nazis and Hitler and his attack to Poland, and his being against the Jews, many of the Polish Jews ran away from Poland, away from Hitler and Nazis, and came to America. They didn't have a job, they were broke, they couldn't speak. All of these things that we're used to were on one side, but guess what they did? They created Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. They created Paramount Pictures. They created Warner Brothers. They created 20th century, if you want to just name 20th century as something, you would say Hollywood. 20th century was Hollywood. And they created Hollywood. And now it's interesting, Cheryl mentioned something about it would be nice to have it on HBO or one of those in there. I think it's even beyond that. We have something that Hollywood doesn't have. Guess what it is? See, I don't know, I'm not following stories when I'm watching a movie. I'm an artist and I see the art in it that inspires me. And after I see it for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I give up. I've seen so many 10 minutes of paintings, movies. But if you ask me how many movies I've seen all the way through, I don't even remember. Because it's the repetition of the same thing. See, once you get to know the artistry of this artist, this filmmaker, this special effect creator, this director, all of these, when you see their artistry, you get to know their style, how they do it, then you can guess the rest of it. Forget about the story. Story you can read, who cares? But you want to see the artistic work. The rest of it just follows through. But what we're doing is not repeating anything. Every time is a new painting. It's a new energy. As you go through, it's constantly new for you. So when you go to a gallery, museum, wherever, you stand in front of the canvas for about a minute or two, or if you're really in love with it, you might stay there for 3 or 4 minutes. But if the picture is moving, you're going to stay there. So what we're creating moving canvases. The canvases that are moving, they're beyond being on a wall in somebody's bedroom. There's something that gets exciting every moment as you walk through. You want to see the next one and the next one and the next one. So this was what's so valuable. Go ahead, Claire.
I don't know if anybody else has had this experience, but on my big screen TV, if I'm not watching, or there'll be a screensaver that will come on from Apple TV, and it will be drones. And that's what I want to watch.
Exactly. The movie.
Whatever the TV show, I don't care, but can we have the drones now? And I do feel like I'm flying in a canvas on many of them.
Rosario?
I think, yeah, that's what makes it special. It's like that outpouring of the heart, that it's like we're painting with the heart. So that's like, there's no end there. And there's nothing. It's just like, it keeps going and painting, and it could go as long as we want it, that feeling to go.
Thank you. But go ahead, Giti, you want to say something? Or you're saying it, but we don't hear you.
Oh, yeah.
I unmute myself, and I mute myself all the time, because he and I are on the same Wi-Fi. I'm in this building, he's in the other, but that doesn't mean anything. A lot of times there is conflict, and it creates some extra sound that he doesn't like to do. So that's what I do. You said something about the story, and you and I have had this conversation many times before. To me, one important artistic element of a film, of a movie, is how the story is carried. So when you do what you do, concentrating on artistic aspect of cinematography, acting, whatever, that you lose that art, you lose that quality of art of how the story is carried through the 2 hours of the film. So, but I just want to say something that you didn't say to everyone, and that is, you do this just a few minutes, and you kind of like close your eyes and go into dreaming, and kind of like processing it in your mind and absorbing it in the quiet of your mind, almost half sleep, half awake, and then you are awakened, whatever, and you go back watching the rest. So there is a process in here that you process this. It's not that you see something and then that's it. You process it and then you go back, and the second time around, I don't know if you're concentrating on the same thing you did before, or it's something new that is attracting your attention. But I think that's important to do that, because otherwise it's lost. It's just a episodic interest in art for a moment that is lost. If you just see it and walk away. You don't walk away, you process it with closed eyes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. You know that, I share what I live. I don't share what I have learned. I live that. So when I say that, just let the inspiration be only one moment, same thing happens to me. I'm just watching this movie, and 5 minutes into the movie, suddenly something inspires me. The movie gets shut off, and I begin to paint or write. That's my way. That's every few days I have that many pieces of paper that I just keep on writing, turn it upside down, right? Whichever I feel like it. And I keep on writing, or I sketch, or I get to my studio and paint, because I don't allow the inspiration to die. I'm excited about getting inspired. I got to keep it going. In the chapter, go ahead, Kavita.
Yes, Priscilla, that leads me on to a question I had when I read The Power of Inspiration. So in there you say that the best works of art often happen in a very short period of time, and how the sketches and drawings of many artists are often more powerful than their finished painting. So I can understand this. You're in the emotion, you've been touched by something, and you have to take it out, you have to release it, you have to sketch, paint, or do whatever you need to do. But I think it was a couple of weeks ago, you spoke about how there are a couple of artists who create within one session, which I can understand. You're outpouring at that point in time. But you also mentioned that there are others who can take months or sometimes years to finish a piece of artwork. That perplexed me slightly as to how an artist can stay in that emotion or in that feeling for so long in order to create. I'm new to this, so I was just, wanting your views on that.
Yeah, they have already created. It takes a year for them to edit.
Okay.
That makes a big difference, because see, the creation, many times that your canvas is created already, and now you're sitting down and editing, doing the details, cleaning up things, all of that stuff. Mostly, in most cases, in many artists, especially those who sell their paintings, they spend more time on editing than they spend on creating. Because creation for somebody who is just selling is create what is selling. And what is selling is flowers. So I'm going to create flowers. And that's it. But from there on, I'm going to edit my flower to look marketable, to look attractive. So some of these, like Cézanne was one of those who was, just like human being. There are people who they're looking good, and there are people who don't give a damn about whether they look good or not. Same thing happens with the artists. Sometimes my art has to look good. And sometimes some artists are in a way that I don't give a damn whether it looks good or bad. I just want to express my emotion. So that's when you just want to express your emotion, you finish it in one sitting, that's it. But when you want to look good, then you're going to be going through details of editing, not creating, because you keep on editing.
So that's the difference between the heart work and the brain work.
Exactly, yeah. The heart is the director who just makes film, just keeps on making film. And the brain is the editor who keeps on eliminating to make it into 1.5 hour or 2 hour or whatever it is. The interesting part is that the editor has no right to make a film. The editor is to eliminate, not to make. So my brushes, if you come in here, I got all these brushes. There's a sets of brushes that is only for elimination, not to paint with, is to eliminate. They're bristle, they're very hard, and I use, special mixtures with them to remove the paint. That's all they do. They just remove the paint. But then there are brushes that they're going to be soft and they would land on the canvas softly. But the brushes that want to remove the paint, could be harsh, so they can scrape the paint off. So elimination, editing, and making is the director. And they have to do their own function. And interestingly, the movies that the director and the editor are the same, they're the biggest failures in Hollywood. Because the director wants to keep on changing and the editor wants to eliminate, and they're both in the same person, and becomes a big problem. Notice that next time, notice that editor is very important in the paint, that movie, something appealing to everybody.
I think Nassim wants to share something.
Go ahead, please, Nassim.
Yes, I kind of had the same question as Kavita, but you answered it, I believe. So it's, I was thinking it's really, I'm learning from this, these classes to like tap into my emotions and then paint my emotion, and try to be unrestricted with that. So not to judge it and just kind of let it out. I also find when the emotion is not, when it's more like a negative, it's exhausting to keep trying to tap into, because it's like for me, maybe it's not the right word that I'm using, but maybe like a ritual, to be able to like set the environment, the mood, think about it, place myself, as if I am whatever it is that I wanted. And so, but I think you responded saying that it's just a moment, you don't have to, it doesn't last very long. And it's new to me right now, so I'm kind of just playing around with it, but I thought maybe mine is short and it needs to be a little bit longer to delve in that emotion. So I thought to ask about it.
Yeah, Rumi has a verse that says, "Dela nazd kasi benshin ke hu az dil khabar darad." O heart, sit together with those who know about the heart. Sit under the tree that is in bloom. You see, when you share your emotion with somebody who has no feeling, they ruin your emotion. When you're in love and you tell your mother or your father or somebody that, look, I'm in love, and they say, forget about it, go on do your studies and all that, that hurts. That hurts. But when you speak about your love with another lover, it builds up on it. So it's really interesting that, when you have a painting that is a reflection of your emotion, don't ask, those who are in the rational mind what they think about it. Ask from those who have their heart open how they feel about it. Not what they think about it, how they feel about it. What type of emotion it brings to them. This is what we're doing now with these stories. And you have no idea what is coming up, because I was shocked with it myself too, when I think it was like about 12, 13 years ago, 14 years ago, while I was painting, suddenly I felt like I want to say something. And I began to write. And I like to write on pieces of paper rather than sit down and, use my monitor. It just feels better for me. So I started writing. And I kept on writing. And I think it took like over a year. While I was painting, I was writing, and I piled them together. And I came up with this whole amazing story of the myth of creation, mythology of creation. not the one that Greeks had, not the one that Jews had, not the ones that, all these other Hindus had, all of these. Mythology of creation of today, as we are scientifically so knowledgeable of the space beyond us. And the whole emotion together, I have no idea where it came from. I just kept on writing and writing and writing. And when I looked at the whole thing, I thought, my God, this makes an amazing movie, because it's an incredible story. Because see, all the religions basically are about monotheism. There's God, and then there is the devil, and they're on the lower part. But God is really the supreme leader on top. And this mythology is about duality. The two are equally powerful. One is positive, one is negative. One is light, one is dark. And these two have their armies, and they got their places, and fight goes on between the two, and then the whole thing goes until when they reach into become united is when life begins, when they merge together. But the story is, and I gave it to a director to make a film out of it. He read a little bit of it and told me that, oh, nobody can understand it. This is beyond understanding of anybody. I thought, well, I give it to other people to read. I gave it to 4 or 5 people to read it, and each one just said, oh, this is, we don't even know what the hell this is. We cannot follow. It's about catacombs, about crypts, about, amazing thing that I even don't know what it is myself. Even my wife, Kitty, hasn't read it. She asked me the other day that I said, I'm going to do that. And she said, send me a few pages so I can read it. I said, you're going to kick me out of the house if you read that. Anyway, that story is amazing, especially because it deals all with, see, you got to realize I'm a painter. So it deals with colors and forms. Incredible in these coronas as the light goes through, blue corona, and the army chases in these red coronas. It's an amazing story. So that's something that I want to develop us to get to that point, that we would make that into something, it's the mythology of today, and it's scientifically perfect. Scientifically, I even watch these, telescope images and all that. I say, my God, this is all related to the story, that where it came from. I have no idea. But then it has waited for 12 years, 13 years to get to a point that now we bring together our group and more people to build up these concepts for humanity beyond just regular thing. And what happens, I have no idea as we go through. But one thing I want you to pay attention to: do not let money become a problem for you. If you like to stay, if you want to stay, just check with Rosario. We make arrangement because we need your help. We need help to spread the word. We need to help to find out how to do advertising in here. We need to know all of these so you can all become creative in developing it. So if you want to, if you want to be continuing and you have shortage of money or limited budget or whatever it is, don't let that be a problem, because that it wouldn't be a problem as long as you agree with, doing things that would help to promote our activities. So having said that, yeah, go ahead, Marianne.
I think what you're saying right now is so important. I don't think any of us will disagree with as we look at the world around us. There are so many things crumbling before our eyes and so much craziness. I mean, you want to talk about ridiculous, but I think that what you're talking about right now is going into an envisioning of what we can create together. You know, if everything's just tearing down, but we have no direction in which we want to go creatively, where are we left? You know, so I think this is a really important part of the process of just delving into our creative spirits. I mean, it sounds to me like what you're describing that you wrote is dimensional. You know, the different colors take you into a different realm almost. So I think it's fascinating and very important work. I know I want to be a part of it.
And above all, it's about unity.
Yes, coming together.
It leads into showing that one cannot destroy the other one.
Right.
Darkness and light got to live together.
Yes.
Cannot eliminate night. You cannot eliminate. You have to live. You have to adjust.
Yep.
And bring the union between the two. Your brain and your heart have to work together. You cannot eliminate one, but your challenge is to adjust the two. The story builds into that so beautifully. And oh God, you're going to have a great time with that one when it comes about, which I'm, will lead into it. But at this point, let's look into our finalizing the story of the Saga of Flight. Let's look at the fourth part now.
Okay, here we go.
The area of the seventh mountain peak was so joyful that we decided to make it our habitat. We ate fruits from the trees and drank from the brooks and slept in the arms of flowers. We were in full ecstasy until suddenly we heard a voice saying that we had to prepare for departure. We were told that the best refuge is precaution, and the most difficult fortress to capture is losing faith. To remain in the same conditions is the waste of life. The enemy is always on the trail, pursuing us without hesitation. We left the seventh mountain and flew towards the eighth one. The summit of the eighth mountain was so high that dissolved in the sky. As we approached the mountaintop, we heard birds' songs that sounded so melodious to us that weakened our wings. And we began to fall down one by one. So we landed on the crest. saw such amazing and colorful beauties and blessings that we could not keep our eyes away from them. They all came to greet us. They were so kind and hospitable to us that cannot be described by words. The ruler of that place was very friendly and made us so relaxed that we felt intimate with him. We opened up and told him about the difficulties that we had gone through and described the entire calamity that had happened to us. He felt sorry and sympathized wholeheartedly with us. He told us that there is a vast kingdom above this mountain that is the empire of the supreme ruler. He's the one who unburdens the faithful who have suffered injustice. The description of his attributes is so great that anything anyone says falls short of his description. The ruler suggested that we should go to the king and ask him to remove the shackles from our feet. On hearing these words, we became relieved, followed the ruler's direction, and set out for the empire of the supreme ruler. Thank you.
Brilliant.
As you saw, the images were jumping. They shouldn't jump. I don't know why they were jumping in here, but they're very smooth movement. And obviously, we work on the technical part of it. When you do something for a large scale, you're going to make sure that technically is all perfect too. So we'll get into all of that. That's why we're not quite ready to release them yet, but we will be releasing soon. Now let's look at some of the works that you've done for the fifth part of the story. Is there any comment about what you saw this part of the movie? Anything you want to share?
It's just so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. I think we all agree that it is really interesting. You keep on wanting to see the next one, and next one what happens. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
That was mine, and that's the Bird King or Queen. I don't know. But it was just plain old fun, just playing with the brushes and colors, and I really had fun doing that.
And we have fun looking at it too. It feels that energy of, your joyful energy comes through the canvas. And I like the color combination you've created in there. With the light blues down below and deep purples up above. Fabulous, fabulous.
I love it.
Yeah. And the ring of sort of representing heart is sort of around. So you've done it so well. Yeah, you had fun doing that. Yeah.
There's also something kind of mysterious about the way the face is tilting back. I love it.
Yeah.
Would it interrupt? may I ask a process question? I can wait or do it later.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, ask, please.
In terms of inspiration, Cheryl, when you came to the canvas, did you have this idea, inspiration,
Light.
or did it come out as you were painting?
It just came out as I was painting. I just wanted to create light. And it's like I just started with a wide fan brush
Mm-hmm.
with the colors that I like. I like those colors together. And then that I just wanted to create light. And then the idea of the king came. And feathers, bird, the bird king. There wasn't really a plan. It was just all play.
So the inspiration was, I'm going to paint light.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my inspiration.
Great, thank you, I love it.
Yeah.
Cheryl, it looks like the Northern Lights. Sorry.
Go ahead. Yes, yes.
Yes, I was just saying the colors remind me of the Northern Lights.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mystical and magical.
Inspiration makes you begin to paint, but again, inspiration should not last for a second. So as you put the paint on the canvas, then the canvas begins to inspire you. You are not going to follow what inspired you to begin. From there on, the canvas inspires you. Every brush that you put should be following a new inspiration that the canvas had given you. But don't think of what you had before, because that inspiration becomes a thought, and thought becomes your enemy, stops the whole process. So constantly you got to get inspired along the line from your canvas as you go through it.
Well, even the brush inspired me. I have a brush you put blush on, and I decided, well, let's see what this does. And I dipped it in some white paint and started doing these, the white around
The feather light.
the feathers. And it's like, wow, this is fun. Look at how neat this is.
Yeah.
And I just continued with the makeup brush, and that's what happened. So the brush inspired me.
And this is the process. You are developing your creative style based on what you're just finding out, discovering, not based on who did what.
There's a sense of, to me, there's a sense of instantaneousness about this. It's like arrival, when you arrive at something and when you land, you go like, ooh. And that's what it feels. Yeah, it feels so beautiful. Like that instant of landing on earth or putting your foot down or arriving, the instant of arriving. That's just so strong.
And you've created this whole expansive space. As we look at the painting, this painting could go on forever. All these circles are going to come and continue to eternity, which is the whole concept. Yeah. Next.
That should follow the other two.
Oh, okay. I thought you said before. I'm sorry. Well,
Sorry. Yeah,
this is the painting, right?
yes.
See this one?
This was done very quickly.
Mm.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful.
I love that. I really love it.
Required a lot of editing. there were 2 lines right in that lower there, right in there. There were 2 lines that vertical lines would not go away. I tried to paint over them. I tried to make it different. I tried to make it into something else. And then I went, okay, I'm going to listen to Rasuli again. And there was that first pavilion.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful.
I see why you didn't want to leave this mountain, Claire.
Yes. And I like the drape in there. It's so nicely done. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And what's the next one? The next, please.
I'm gonna show this one. This is the one, the order. You're a blazing soul,
Yes,
having a
the
human
last one. I'm part of Facebook, blah, blah, blah. And I have been inspired to do some sayings. And then that piece and this quote that I had pulled a Rumi card. And that was what I took, and it just all fell together. So that's up on Facebook now, if you want to be my friend.
Alana is a wonderful lady, good friend, and we've done several works together with Alana.
Yeah, that's the deck I have, and I just pulled one of your beautiful paintings, and this was the piece that spoke to me, and it related somehow to the whole, if you're the bird, you're in physical form, and if you're flying, you're spirit. I think that's...
I can see why you love this whole process as we're going through, because it really excites you. Look at that. I mean, both of these are, wow, amazing.
I'm very intrigued with the veil that she put in there. Whoops.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like a lot of different portals in there.
Yeah.
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 Symbolic meaning of this is, for me, I love that, because a lot of these works that we're doing upon the story of the saga of flight are very symbolic. And so this representation in here, I love the fact that this drape, this curtain, is the limitation of our vision. That's, a lot of times we look at reality through a curtain that is our own limitation. And this is as beautiful as the curtain itself is. It's glowing, it's, all of that. And that comes, of course, from our what we've been taught, the culture, the education we've had, the experiences we've had. But it's thin, you can still see through, but it is giving you a different vision. That's what I love about this. Symbolically, this is just, I can sit down and write about the symbolic representation of this work. So beautiful.
It's an inspirational work for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next.
Deb, I know this is part of a series, so.
Well, it's actually the same painting, but
Yeah.
I was intrigued how different it looked in the different lights. So it was interesting that you talked about photographing your painting.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
The brush stroke, as you created those mountains, amazes me. You can feel, you can touch the mountain. Wow. Simple, playful brush stroke. Wow. Look at that.
And also, I think like it's the beauty of it is that feels like the mountain rock.
Yes, right.
Full, intense. And then you have brush stroke in there that is like light, air. You know, it's such a difference, such a difference. Conceptually, you showed it so beautifully. Wow. And there is a sense of also playfulness about it. That is.
It shows as you fly into a vast, infinite space from this, eighth mountain. Nicely done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nicely done. Wow.
Very lifting.
Yeah.
Very lifting, right?
Yeah, this with the words and the music together, all of these together, as we go through that, becomes really uplifting as people look at it. Very inspirational. The space that you've created, far away in the distance, it's got such a depth to it. It really feels like it goes on and on and on forever. Next. Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I love it. So, everybody has their own way of seeing the story, and identity shows up on the paintings.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that struck me in the story was kind of the pavilion and sitting on the edge of like infinity. And I thought columns, but when I started to paint, trees came and they became the columns and formed the pavilion.
And you just described that's how the inspiration just continued in there, taking you to a new direction. Beautiful.
Correct. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I have the goosebumps when I look at it.
Yeah.
Spirit bumps.
Oh, thank you. It was really fun. I painted one whole day. It was such a luxury to be in the space where my husband is really taking care of me. Like, he cooked all the meals and did everything, and I just didn't have to stop. And I was so grateful that I could I literally started at 6:30 in the morning and painted till like 6 o'clock that night.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great.
Now you can imagine the life that I have.
I
Yes.
almost see like an eye at the center where you have like the spiral and there's like this little piece of green, and it's almost kind of like, come see what wisdom I have to share. I love that.
I also see what I see. So in the sky part of it, you actually have the flight. You actually feel the flight because of some of the images that you have in there. And so I'm just thinking, even if the bird wasn't there, I'm seeing the flight. So beautifully drawn, so freely.
Thank you.
And the trees that you've created, they're lovely trees. They're just completely different type of trees that you see in the nature. You've created your own trees.
Yeah, they feel like they're sky trees, or they have really close touch with the heavens or something.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They go on forever. Yeah. Lovely. And a good color relationship, the red and the green that you put against each other, and then the mixture as they made the trunk of the trees. Nice balance you've created. Yeah. Next.
Yes, that's one of my paintings. It's called Birth and Changes, a transformation. And it's really all that is. because energy can never dissipate, only be transformed. To the left, the child is born in the frame of a proud God, into the brilliant light and unique, independent soul connected to the roots by the mother and father, where the history repeats. It's a repetitive process to increase the unique soul's level of awareness. So the one with the true solution for the family finally can find the freedom and remove the shackles from the past, from the betrayal of the past, and from the feet. Birth is an ongoing process in every country and kingdom. In and out of a body with one unique soul and many lives on earth. A journey of discovery every life. Up and in the middle, you can see a handsome man and a beautiful lady having this child. All humans must have a mother and a father. The king notifies the arrival of all of them. All citizens of the world and the whole humanity is born into a country with a lot of rules, karma, traditions, and religion to follow. Like the northern country hiding the truth here at mountain number 9 and the King's Parliament building, Stortinget in Norway, where, where the royal king select his government, mostly from Stortinget, selected by the people who decide the laws to follow, settle, and here he meets his government and parliamentary politicians. As you can see, these national democracy buildings are today fading out like pictures in the dark, on fire, stripped on nationality and power. And people feel disappointed in so many different ways. To the right, you see how everyone around the king's power and his castle nearby, with a brilliant courtyard and beautiful pavilions, raised the curtain and show you the parliament building and the illusion. Everyone spends a lot of money partying, so they lose their consciousness indifferently and squanders it without being held accountable. And they could speak open about their life, but will this remove the bonds from their feet? Or is the king's secrets that is the problem? And you can see the famous 3 wise monkeys, the lion in front. They close their eyes, mouth, and ears, bound by secrecy and confidentiality agreements. Fewer and fewer can see or understand the truth. It's too much noise and propaganda. The king and his council call this sustainable development. But as you can see to the right, everything that are happening is standing on a thin porcelain glass and can fall and break at any time. It's difficult for them to really understand how to remove the shackles from the feet. And the naked truth and the eye of the truth are constantly working to emerge. The superior above them all knows it all, has the total plan unfolding from inside in everyone, in every generation, and with much greater power than anyone else. Above this government building surrounded by light, you can in the middle see a kind of a Game of Thrones figure. This is the supreme ruler, always present globally, with the truth and a lot of light, and always with his feet above the flag on the top of the parliament building. All the power is in this ruler's hand. Above, to the left, they saw and felt the pure light from the birth on, so much light and guidance surrounding their awareness. This is the meeting with your unknown I. It's much stronger eternal force than the rulers made up by the king and his followers, leaving their illusion to put shackles on the feet on the people by hiding the truth that is revealed. The light in life is all about birth, inspiration, intuition, motivation, and the awareness level of the soul. The Supreme Ruler is trying to tell each and one of us that the true kingdom of God is inside and in front of our eyes, always present, 24/7, 365 days. And the answer to the freedom unfolds slowly, bit by bit, presented from the shadow and comes into the light as the life and the veil of God's plan and consciousness level unfolds. To set yourself free from the shackles, you must do the shadow work and get to understand your unknown I, who lives behind a wall made visible, until the day comes when you finally understand the truth and right solution for your freedom. No one has to cross the river to find the answer, as it lays within all of us. The unknown I presented like the Supreme Ruler, which since the beginning standing in the shadow in the middle, every time a human meets another human. Supreme and ultimate power that is connected online within all of us through the unique intuition and lifts the veil of understanding for your soul and way from inside, right on time. Stay persistent, live in transformation like a child. And you can see the boomerang circling around the Supreme Ruler, tells that it's all about timing. Time will tell. Time will set you and the truth free. What goes around wrong, history repeats and comes around to finally find the truth and correct solution for humanity. The kingdom of God is inside and in front of our eyes all the time. That's why the intuition, inspiration, senses, calling, creation, birth, feeling and thoughts comes from within, and the motivation mostly from outside. Others' expectations and hopes can lead you to burn out. The colors are in yellow for the brilliant light, blue for communication, beauty, joy, and the pastel for the child in all of us. So that's the story behind this painting.
This is a pretty good story by itself. The whole painting is filled with it. I would like to have a drink with that that have champagne in there.
Yeah.
That's very inviting.
Yeah, thank you. But what I will ask is, how is the fruits tasting today in the society? You know, it looks good, but how does it taste?
Beautiful, beautiful.
I'd like to ask you a question, Anne.
Yeah.
You created the work and then you looked at it and found this story or the description that you wrote about? Or,
Yes.
Or were you inspired by a description of something like the story and then created the work to fit the story? Which comes first?
Yeah, the painting comes first. Okay. And the story comes while I'm painting. And it's all set. My fiancé is helping me to put it together.
I see. Okay. So
yeah,
it's a collaborative work. I felt.
yeah.
And
I
think
do the painting.
yeah, the painting and the story, it's a
Yes.
collaboration. I just, as far as the artwork is concerned, I want to tell you what my feeling is. As a person who observes a piece of art, I find my own story in it.
Okay, yeah.
I found my truth in it, which is totally different, obviously, than even yours who created it, let alone other people. And I think the beauty of art is that you can create your own story from anything that you feel and observe, be it a dance, be it a piece of artwork, be it anything like that. So the description you write is stunning, it's beautiful. It feels, it's like the in-depth philosophy of this beautiful image. It's in-depth, definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think as an observer, I see a lot of things in here that you didn't even say.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because that's the beauty of your work. It's complex. It offers a lot. It offers it, but the possibility of discovery in your work, because it's so intense and a lot, it feels very good. I own what I discover in your work, and I love that. I see it that way.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, I just want to say that the description, as beautiful as it is, as it's written and describes everything, it takes away from my freedom as an observer to find
Okay.
a story.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I think art, any form of art, image, dance, music, it brings out a story.
Yeah, it does.
We identify with the story based on our own experiences in life, where we come from, what culture we come from, what we see. So I love it, and I just want to melt into the story that I'm seeing in there. So when you tell me the story,
okay, yeah, but that's how I do with all my paintings. I make a story for all my paintings, and the people who likes my paintings, they always love the story, but it's only one way to see the painting. It's up to the viewer. So that's only from my description, and it's up to the viewer to make your own story.
So when you exhibit, are you exhibiting with the story like also next to the painting? Is that what you do?
Yes.
Okay.
What she is truly following her impressions every second as she looks at the painting, as she she is really making love with canvas. There's no question about it. Totally out of her mind, and they're just having lovemaking. It's just as much of a lovemaking as you can imagine. Now, what comes out of it is interesting because it keeps on shifting as well. As inspiration changes, the images evolve. And she had no idea, about any of these as they keep on evolving as she goes through. When the audience look at the painting, when it comes with her writings in there, then for some people could be sort of satisfying their curiosity. For others would be inspiration by itself. Like as you look at the painting by itself, you know that there are a lot of story in there. Now it's either that you go directly to read what she has written about it, or you go into your own imagination to develop it. If you go to read what she's written about it, you're a consumer. You're consuming what she has done. If you journey into your own world, looking at the painting as you're seeing and creating your own imagery, then you are creating. That part of it relates directly to the work of art, because then her work becomes completely inspirational for the audience who come there. As they walk in there, they stand in front of the canvas and they come up with their own story. They have to come up with their own story. In that case, it's a great work of art that is inspiring people, and it develops. Now, if you're really curious as a consumer, then you go back to read to see what she has done. But as an individual who wants to create and enjoys creativity, it's fun to look at it. You know, I'm just looking at these monkeys, the 3 monkeys sitting in there, and I want to have my own imagination developed with that, you know, and then it just keeps on going. This is what art does. But on the other hand, she allows the curious eyes, the curious people to know what she's talking about as well. So for an audience, you have both choices, which is interesting. You have the choice of reading what she's written, or you have the choice of creating your own world as you look through the painting.
Yes.
I love to look into the painting, get the details, and yes, Kitty, you're right. I see things in there that is beyond any of the things that she says, because she is an observer as well, because she did not make him with her idea to begin with. She observed what was on canvas and she edited.
On the story.
She found this and she edited into the whole story. So the journey is really interesting. It's a unique way of presenting your work. It's a big surface that you can, you know, just look at it and journey through it. And every day you'll find new thing in it. Every day, every moment you find new thing in it. And the same thing would be different next time you look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see new things after a year also. So.
Exactly. You would, if you were to rewrite the story, let's say in about a week or two, it would be a completely different story. As you look at it, you see different things, different ideas, and it keeps on evolving.
May I ask you, did you just do that recently, like a week ago or a month ago?
No, it's a while. It's a while ago since I painted it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it fits perfect to this story.
Yes, I see.
That's her creativity right there. She fit the image that she had into the story, and she came up with this thing, which fits pretty well the whole idea as she has developed it.
Yeah.
Can I ask the medium that you've used? Is it multimedia? Or
It's acrylic ink I start with. Yeah, and I blow with hair dry.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I use acrylic to figure it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Next.
This is mine. So play was obviously happening in this painting. That I showed, because I put paint down and I actually used the ball to roll the first underlayer. And then I kept painting and got to this. Not with a ball, with a brush. The final is with a brush.
Wow. So the ball was your inspiration. As it was, the ball was rolling. You just followed it. Beautiful.
Yeah. And because I was kind of reflecting on the, you know, they're going through this big thing and there's all these different chambers and everything. And like, I was kind of seeing it as not like necessarily like a straightforward, like, you know, pathway.
Lovely. And the blending is very well done. I love the blending that you've done in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. But it's interesting that you let the ball roll and guide you on a wet canvas. Nice, beautiful. Yeah. Next.
Mm.
Ah, lovely, lovely.
I think Raphael is working today, so
Yes.
she sent her thing.
Yeah. She's having a great time with these. I can see that. And the same birds are flying now in here. It's completely beautifully done. Yeah, fabulous.
It feels like a shower of light here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a sense of ethereal about it that is very nice and comfortable.
Like a tunnel of light.
Yeah. I
I love it.
love the pavilion of light.
Yeah, yeah.
Pavilion of light.
Yeah.
Ice castle also. Mm.
Lovely,
Yeah.
lovely. Next.
Tammy also, she sent a little message with this. She says, the glowing beams are the royal divine agents leading the birds back. The whites on the right that you can barely see represents the birds following them, still flying all bound together.
Mm.
Towards that mountain, yeah. I like the birds, the way she has created them as energy.
Yeah.
These birds are this energy, this excitement, this joy that is moving that direction.
She's drawing the flight,
Yeah, yeah.
not the birds.
Very well done. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
You really feel that energy moving.
Wow.
Yeah. Next.
This is mine. I intended to do the flight of the birds and their last, the last saga. And then this came out. And so I did it a second time, although it was really late, so I don't expect it to be, posted. Oh, okay, thanks, sorry. I don't mean for it to have done that, Rosaria, to you. But this is a second attempt where I did it and I don't have any explanation. This is just me really trying to be with the emotion of what the birds were experiencing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Let's go back to the first one and then we come to this one. Let's go to the first one. And obviously your emotion is there. You have connected with the activities that is taking place in Iran now. You can feel that the flag of Iran you have created in there, yet there is this sort of movement towards the mystery, towards this unknown future that you've created, which is pretty much connects with the flight of the birds into the unknown future as they go through. And on the next painting, in this next painting, I love the approach that you've taken. My recommendation is to prime the canvas, a color that you want, or two colors or whatever first. Just put a whole coat of, let's say, light blue on that whole canvas before you do anything else, and then apply these on it so they would look all interconnected. Mm-hmm. So next time, just take any of the paintings that you've done or something and go over it with this whole movement you've done, and it becomes your style. It can develop beautifully. Just do a nice background and then go over it with this whole thing. Just play like that. Yeah. And that becomes your way. Yeah.
I did put it white, but I make sure to put it with color next.
Yeah, put color, because this way it looks like naked canvas with your colors on it. But when you put a color underneath it, sometimes it could be just black or dark color or whatever you put underneath it, and then apply these in it. They all tie together then.
Thank you. I tried to also integrate like that color scheme with the color wheel. I heard what you had suggested last week with Kavita, you know, to kind of make it 3D. And so I didn't attempt to try to do that, but I just wanted to incorporate, you know, through the color wheel of gradation. But I'll try that with a darker color in the background. Thank you.
Well, actually, your assignment would be, this is your personal assignment, would be to just take a canvas and you see you have yellow, green, blue, and red, okay? And do the same thing, just flat. Just paint it all yellow, paint it all green, paint it all blue, paint it all, and nothing else, just flat. Paint that, and then we could even do it with roller, okay? And then once it's dry, do the opposite color on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that, let's say on the yellow part, you have that yellow that you have already done this background, yellow background, and now you go with purple on it, and what you have done in yellow with purple, and maybe what you've done in red with lavender, and then it's going to be standing out powerfully. So do that as your, you know, assignment, to play colors against each other. Like when you come to the green, have a whole thing, you know, on the red, you can put the green on it, light green, dark green. On the blue, you can do orange, and then put the blue on it. And then it's a great way of playing and enjoying, and your forms can start developing slowly as you play with them, and you like your brushes to move this direction, that direction, and you do that. And then you develop identity in your work. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm going to try that this week. I look forward to that.
Yeah, do that. Have fun.
I like to say something about the work before you take it out. The first one, my feeling is this: it's absolutely beautiful because it's elemental and conceptual.
Thank you.
It's the concept of freedom that was in, you know, emotionally you were into freedom, and that's what it does. It doesn't matter what you joy as, you know, what you present. This is what freedom is about at this time emotionally for you, because it is for me. I identify with that. But it's elementally what the colors you use, of course, is the flag of E1 and all that, but it's more than anything else, it's the coming together of the unknown and the known, and at the present time. And we're hoping that the unknown would be fitting, would be coming in together, attaching into what is, you know, and in other words, evolving from what it is into a bigger picture. But I also, what I see in here also is like the freedom of hair. To me, is a, you know, is the hair of the beloved hanging in there in front. So I can, you know, and you said something also today, Nassim, that you were talking about at the beginning about coming from your emotion and not the response that you get from other people is not what you want to hear, or it never comes fitting you where you are, finding you where you are. I wanted to say that when we are so emotional, whatever we present in this, our expectation should be that other people receive it in a state of emotion rather than wisdom. And my feeling was about what you said was that you are fully submerged in your emotion and you're creating something from that, either sharing it verbally or just presenting the work. Don't expect anybody to give you a response from their wisdom, because if you do that, it never fits. You know, allow them to also take the emotion that you have presented in a way they can and come back to you as emotional. And it may be, excuse me, stupid, ridiculous, what they may respond, so be it, because you're coming yourself from your emotion. That's what I wanted to say. It just stood in my head of I needed to share. And then of course what you do in the other one is totally freedom. Freedom of brushstroke, freedom of feelings, freedom of dealing with life, freedom of being here, all of that. It's beautiful.
It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yes.
Ridiculous. Ridiculously beautiful.
I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Just as it is.
Yeah, but to tie everything together,
Yeah.
what I tell my students usually is that think of the canvas as being your intimate friend that you want to share your heart feeling with it. Just the canvas. Just share your emotion, whether you're sad, happy, excited, miserable, whatever you are, speak to your canvas, because canvas is your friend. And that friend could be a friend of other people through carrying your message. So just speak to your canvas. That is your intimate friend. Next.
Shelley had a concert today, but she said her paintings were full of cranes this week. And she had a lot of fun.
She did. You can see it. Oh my God. She's blowing my mind. I mean, she's never painted before in her life. And look what she's doing. She's finding her way through so beautifully. Look at the tree trunks that she has created. Yeah, look at the leaves on the tree. Amazing, amazing. Wow.
I think she was paying attention to when the blending that you said, because look at how she goes from the orange into the yellow.
Yeah. Too bad about the picture. She has to fix that because there's a reflection of light up above on the right hand side corner. She's got to fix that. It's a great painting, and ask her to take another picture, just like I explained, in the shadow, outdoors, and send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Next.
I hope I have them in the right order.
Oh,
Kitty.
thank you. Yes, I'm sorry I messed it up and wrote you a note on this.
Oh, no, that's okay.
This is like for what I missed last week. And this needs to be shown in totality and not as like details, so don't bring the, because it's on paper.
I don't know. I like this person coming out.
Is
Is she inviting me in or is she coming out?
No, actually, it's the ruler talking, and tell them, pointing to them to go that direction up there. There is, I can see that feeling, and all they're connected. All these birds are connected together, and the ruler is pointing to infinite space that they have to go there to get the the shackles off their feet. Lovely, nice color relationship, and that bright yellow really helps. And I like your approach with the mixture of a pencil and wash on it. It's really interesting. It's the reverse of what Anne Margaret is doing. See, Anne Margaret is doing the wash first, and then she finds things in there. What you've done is you've done with the solid lines first, and you washed spaces to blend them in. Two different approach. Nobody says one is better than the other, but they're two different approach.
Yeah, and then also it requires this kind of a work, a lot of layering, because I use pencil, I use acrylic, I use magic markers, I use all kinds of stuff that I had. and it still wasn't, what I needed to have for me. So I went layer and layer. And it's not something you want to do on paper. So I figured out, that sort of a thing you need to do be on a canvas. It's almost, I was worried about tearing it up, as I was pushing on it and trying to make it darker and all that.
But many artists do work on paper, but the secret is to mount the paper on a board, on a solid board. Either glue it down on a solid board, which is ideal. Otherwise, just put a tape all around it, tape it down, so you can easily move it around and it won't, buckle or any of those. So make sure that you mount your paper. There's nothing wrong with doing things on paper. Many artists have done that, and many artists are doing that. In fact, the artist that you saw his work last week is doing the work on paper, has done the work on paper.
Well, that's actually the inspiration comes from that. He had, that's how it started. I mean, you said that he had worked on paper. I became courageous and said, well, I can do it on paper. Let me see if I can. But it requires a much harder surface to work on than you do.
You have to mount it on a board. Just get these, like a fiber boards or just flat, thin boards mounted on it, glue it down, and then paint on it, or tape around it, and then remove the tape later on. Next.
And this is what I've done again, this is on paper.
Oh, wow.
I did it for this week.
That's good. Powerful contrast, powerful contrast.
This whole idea of chamber upon chamber coming more into light, arriving at light and going to deeper and deeper into light was amazing for me. Just the concept, and it wasn't very easy to achieve, but I attempted at it.
I love the texture, especially of the figure in the middle. And I also see a dome over it, with the portal going through.
Yes.
The pavilion.
Yeah, I like the layers in both of the one previous and this one. You just get the sensation that if you move a little bit, you're going to go into a totally different direction.
And it was almost impossible to create the darkness around it. That's also multiple layers. I eventually, as you can just see, just took a magic marker that I had, just went right on top because I couldn't keep the other things that I had. I just went at it.
Yeah, and I can see how much you've been influenced by the artist of the week's work.
Oh, yeah.
That has really influenced you, and I love the direction you've taken on doing this thing in here. And as Claire mentioned, the textures that you've been creating, it's amazing, beautiful, beautiful. This I can see that is like really the end of the story as they fly back, or this sort of, they see the blue planet in a distance. Yeah, nice work, thank you.
It's interesting too, because I think, again, when we talk about the collective unconscious, that blue planet, as you call it, I saw it instantly as the blue pearl of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. It can also be that.
Or the third eye, third eye, yeah.
And that's the way I saw it, Marianne, but I think Rasuli was kindly trying to relate this more into the story that it was supposed to be the inspiration.
Right.
Thank you. Is there any more work or?
Yeah, we have two more.
All right, go ahead.
Wow. Avita. Oh my God.
Yeah.
This one's mine. First of all, I want to really thank you all for your comments last week. It really helped me to go back and improve my painting. I think, Master Rusili, you probably know me better than myself. You know, whatever you say about what I'm going through, I reflect and I think, yes, that's exactly what happened. I was doing the tango and then switched to the cha-cha-cha. Then I got bored and I thought, I don't like you and I don't want to do any more. So I told the 3-year-old in me last week that she has to be patient and we're only doing the tango. So last Sunday morning, I went back and finished the painting with emotion rather than sort of fatigue and boredom. And this week is the divine is calling and the birds have heard.
Ah, stunning.
Stunning.
Yes.
And the birds have heard.
Fabulous.
Wow.
The excitement of the birds moving forward. It's so well reflected in this painting. Ah. Well done. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
I really enjoyed painting it. I had dance music on, so I was dancing with it. So I enjoyed it.
The painting is telling us that. Lovely, lovely.
The
Yeah.
depth is incredible.
Yeah,
Love it.
and you photographed it in a good place because there's lighting is even all the way through. Nicely done. Yeah, this is a type of, image that you want to send to Rosario so we can get it into the program where the lighting is right, the texture is not too strong. It really shows the whole thing pretty well. Next.
Thank you.
This last one is mine. And I it's not finished, but I had a lot of fun and just kind of expressing a vulnerability of where the birds, were going to and what I was feeling or connecting with.
Wow, I love that.
Beautiful painting, beautiful painting. The greatness, the enormity of the space, the energy in there is amazing. Yeah, I feel like I'm looking at a little detail of one of our planets. Yeah, like Jupiter. When you look at Jupiter, when the colors are like Jupiter in there, and you can even see some moons around Jupiter.
Yeah, I had fun too. Just
Yeah.
I like just I like Kavita was saying, I was talking to my inner child too, like, okay, we're only gonna play with these 3 colors and see where we go.
I see a bird in there, Rosario. I don't think you intended
Yeah,
it.
I kind of felt it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely is a flight. You can really feel like even you're flying as you're looking at the painting. Painting shows the flight. The painting should be called a flight. Just really has that feeling, that sensation.
It is.
Yeah. Lovely. Rosario, I can see you are going towards something that you don't know and I don't know, but I can see that the direction that you're taking is going to get you into something amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely don't know where I'm going, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Better than you don't know. If you know, you're going to screw up. You're going to get lost if you know where you're going.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. What we're going to be doing that I'm going to have the 5 of these parts together, and you're going to be receiving it probably by tomorrow sometimes, and look into the whole story together. And if there is one part that inspires you, or you feel like this could be done this way, feels better, or something that inspiration comes from it, do it. Because from next week on, we're going to shift into a different story, which you're going to love the second one as an amazing story. But I want to finish with that. Next week, we're going to review your work on that and really review what the story is all about, now that you've seen the whole thing. And then we move into an amazing story that I'm going to bring it together with performing art. So that's something that we're going to be experiencing next week for the next 3 weeks. But next week, let's look at finalize this story, and we move on to a new story which is going to bring the images with the performing art together and see how we can develop that. Have a wonderful week. You would be painting on Sunday. You're going to be receiving that on Sunday, as long as I get to have these images that we have today as soon as possible. We'll work on it and get you the 5th part of the story and the whole thing together to inspire you to come up with one image that you feel like, I want to do this one, something that inspires you from that story. Imagine it's the first time you are seeing that story. You're an artist seeing it. What inspires you in there, reflect it. Have a wonderful week, and I see you next week.